So to get started on your pumpkin landscape, you'll need a large piece of paper, and we're going to use it landscape style. So it is longer going horizontally, and then it's shorter on the vertical sides. You should draw at least one large pumpkin, or you can draw more than one pumpkin. You could even make some of them smaller, like they're sitting in a pumpkin patch. We're also going to draw leaves falling around our pumpkin, and you can add leaves on the grass as well. You'll have a drawing guide that shows you how to draw a pumpkin shape, and then on the back has some examples of different leaf shapes that you can draw. We'll also have some oval tracers. There's a large one and a small one depending on the size of pumpkin you want to draw. Notice that the first step is starting with an oval. So you would trace the oval first. So let's go ahead and do that. So if you want your pumpkin to be in the middle of the paper, one good idea would be to fold your paper in half and find the middle. So remember, we're using it landscape style, so I want to take the two shorter sides and fold them together. And I'm just doing this gently so that I can see that this is about where the middle is. Then I can take my oval tracer and I want to trace it about in the middle of the paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace that with a pencil. And then the next step is adding curves on the side of the oval to start creating the pumpkin shape. So we can draw one that comes out in this direction and one coming out in the other direction, and it curves to the bottom. Now, it's okay if they're not exactly the same. Pumpkins are definitely not perfect or symmetrical. I know when I go look for pumpkins, some of them are a little lumpy or bumpy, and that's okay. Now I'm going to add another curve on each side to finish the pumpkin shape, and it curves down to the bottom. So this would be if I wanted to draw one pumpkin in the middle of my paper. Next, we need to draw the stem. You can use a curved line on one side, and then another curve, and then finish it with a little curve on the top. And again, stems are not perfect. They can be curvy or bumpy, and that is okay. I drew some lines inside the stem to show texture. Now we want our pumpkin to look like it's sitting on grass. So I'm gonna use some zigzag line shapes on the side, and I'm drawing this a little bit above where the pumpkin is sitting. I wouldn't want the grass to start down here because then I would have this empty space, and then I would have a floating pumpkin, and we don't want that. So that is a little bit too low, but start on the side of the pumpkin and go to the edge of the paper. Next, you could draw leaf shapes that are falling in the sky, and they could also be landing on the grass. You should draw at least 8 leaves around your paper. That means they could be in the sky, and they could also be on the grass. The more leaves you draw, the better, so you can definitely draw more than 8. When you're drawing a leaf that has more than one section, I would draw it starting with the stem. So if I wanted to draw this leaf, I'd start with the stem in the middle, and then the 2 veins that come out, and then I can go around it and add the actual shape of that leaf. And that just kind of helps me build the shape. But if you know another way to draw a leaf, go for it. You are the artist. For a leaf shape like this, you can use some curved or bumpy lines. So if I wanted to draw that, again, I would start with the curve of the stem of the leaf, and then the 2 veins that come out, and then I could draw these sort of scalloped edges around the leaf shape. So remember that some of them can be sitting on the grass, and some of your leaves can be up in the sky, falling onto the grass. You can also draw some more lines to show the texture on the grass. Maybe you want to draw more than one pumpkin, like the pumpkins are sitting in a row at a pumpkin patch. If you want to do that, think about how many pumpkins you'd like first, and then you're going to start placing your oval off to one side. So I'm gonna put my oval over here. And then the next step, remember, is a curve on each side from the top to the bottom. Now, I don't know if I have room to fit the entire curve of this side, but that's okay. I can just make it go off of the page and draw what I have room for. And then on this side, I do have space for the entire curve. Then remember, you can draw a stem with a curved line and another curved line for the other side. And remember that stems are not perfect. Now maybe I want a pumpkin right next to this pumpkin, and maybe it's sitting behind it a little bit. So I'm not going to be able to see the entire thing. I'm going to trace my oval first, then start drawing the sides again, and this one's going to bump in to the pumpkin next to it. So I'm just drawing what I have room for. When we do this, we are working on overlapping, and we're thinking about what is in the front and what is in the back. So with this next curve, I only have room for a little bit, but on this side, I have more space, so I can draw the entire thing. And now I have some overlapping pumpkins. So this pumpkin ends right here, and then this one is behind it. Now this is a smaller piece of paper than you will have. You could fit more than just 2 small pumpkins. Maybe you could draw 1 large pumpkin and 2 small pumpkins behind it. It's totally up to you. But remember that you need at least 1 large pumpkin, or you could do a variety of sizes, like a large pumpkin and 2 small pumpkins, 1 small pumpkin and 1 large pumpkin, but at least 1 large pumpkin on your paper. And at least 8 leaves around, falling from the sky and on the grass. Once you've drawn everything in pencil, then our next step is to use some oil pastels to outline. You'll have a box of these oil pastels at your table. You have a variety of colors. We have our warm colors like red, orange, and yellow, and then we have brown and 2 different greens, a bright and a dark green. So for the pumpkin, you're going to want to go over the pencil lines with the orange oil pastel, because pumpkins are an orange color pretty much. But we are going to end up painting on the inside. So that's why we're only outlining the pencil lines. We're not going to color in with the oil pastel. We are just going over our pencil lines. After your pumpkin is outlined with orange, then you can use the brown to outline the stem shape. Remember that you're not coloring this in, you're just outlining. And now I can move on to outlining the leaves. The leaves are fall leaves, so they are changing colors. So you can use brown, you could use yellow, red, orange, you could even use a little bit of green if these leaves haven't quite changed color all the way. But you do want to use some warm colors on your leaves to show that it is fall. And then the last thing to outline is the grass. So you'll have a bright green and a dark green. And it's okay if some of your pastels don't have a wrapper, or if the wrapper starts to come off. The wrappers don't really stay on very well, so if they come off, don't worry about it. They are still good to use. So with the grass, I just want to show texture. So I started kind of with a zigzag line, and I'm just drawing some lines that come up to make it look more like the texture of grass. You can also add a few lines around your leaves. And I'm going to add that brighter green as well. I do want to end up separating the grass from the sky, because eventually we will be painting and we want to separate our paint colors by the lines from the oil pastel. So then I could mix in some of the brighter green. You could even put a little bit of brown on your grass as well. Once you've outlined everything in oil pastel, then we are finished with this part of the project. The next thing we'll go over is how to add color by painting. Don't forget to make sure that your name is on the back and your room number. Remember to write the letter of your group. It could be A or B. I hope you have fun drawing your pumpkin landscape. I can't wait to see how they turn out.